What's up YouTube, Dan here from Zephyr Wargames, bringing you an Android deck profile. Now, Androids are actually really cool because what they do on their unawakened side is reduce the energy cost of all Android 17s and 18s in your hand by 1. When your life is 6 or less, you may draw 2 cards and flip this card over. The awakened side is reduce the energy cost of all Android 17s and 18s in your hand by 1 still. If your life is 4 or less, all of your Android 17s and 18s gain plus 5,000 power. When this card attacks, draw 1 card. So, it's a very interesting deck. It awakens at 6, but you want to kind of get to 4 to make all of your cards get that extra boost. Apart from that, they do have a lot of stun cards in the deck and very useful cards to play around with. It's a bit different from Cell. Cell focuses on getting himself out, whereas in this deck, you play around with the androids themselves to stall your opponent out, and then you go straight into the Cell for the killer blow. So, without further ado, I'm going to take you through the deck and show you what we've got. So for our high levels, we play triple Perfect Force Cell. Now, this kind of combo card, going into the 4 evolving evil life forms and the 4 growing evil life form cell, is the power play. That's the power engine. That's the deck that this is the engine that rips from your opponent's hand, gives you additional draws, and is so consistent because you play an abundant amount of Android 17s and 18s. And the issue is, the 17s are actually a little bit stronger than 18s in my opinion. But you don't need them as much. You need more 18s in the deck than you do 17s, yet you have more 17s to play around with. Purely because the 18s, you can loop round on the 5. So you go 5, put another 18 under, draw a card, pop a card, put another 18 under, draw a card, pop a card, put another 18 under, draw a card, pop a card, then put another 18 under and go into the 7. So there's a lot of playing around with it. It's a shame that when we get to the Android 17s, you'll see what I mean, that there's actually 2 more forms of Android 17 more than there are of Android 18 that are generically useful. I'm quickly going to go grab a card because I need to show you it as we're doing this profile. Kind of popped into my head, and it's kind of the one that's messed. Like it should have been generic. It should have been in generic green. So I'll get to it when I get to there. So we'll continue on. So you play the Cell Power Engine. Then I play 4 Super Combos, which is what you're allowed. But I play 2 Android 16 and 2 Trunks Protector of Children. Now, I play Trunks Protector of Children because sometimes you do need to replace your Super combo. And then we've got the Android 16s because they are searchable. And if you're going along with the theme of this deck, which is ripping from your opponent's hand, 16 can actually then leave your opponent with pretty much nothing in hand after you Super combo. So it's very important, that card. If you want to go either ways, if you want to have more consistency with searching your Androids, you go 4 of these. If you want to go the other way, you go 4 of those. Entirely up to you. For the big androids, we've got 2 Android 18 Exterminating Energy. This is a double striker, and when it attacks a leader card, your opponent chooses a card from their hand and puts it in a drop zone. We've then got 2 Expanding Energy Android 17. You could cut this down to 1 if you wanted to, but this is just to replenish your hand. So again, double strike, when this card attacks, draw cards until you have 4 cards in your hand. Now these are technically drop 4s rather than drop 5s because of your leader, which is very important. Then we get on to the other androids, so the drop 3s, which are technically drop 2s. We play 3 Dreadful Duo Android 18. Critical and an activate main. Once per turn you play it at an energy cost of green. During that turn, if an opponent's battle card with an energy cost of 4 or more has been placed into the drop area from any area by one of your skills, choose one of your opponent's battle cards of 3 or less and knock it out. And we've then got 3 Twin Sister Android 18. Auto, once per turn when this card attacks, you may place 1 card from your hand into the drop area. If you do, choose up to 1 Android 17 in your battle area and switch to active mode. So it's a very nice comboing off with this one because you get 2 double strikes. Now, before we move on to the Android 17s, I am going to show you the 2 new cards we got in Tournament of Power. So we've got Infinite Energy Android 18 and Kawaii Kai Master. Now, this effect should have been this effect. So this effect is, at the end of the battle phase, after you combo with this card from your hand, if your leader card is Universe 7, play this card in rest mode. It should have been, if your leader card is green, which is like this card, at the end of the battle, after you combo with this card, from your hand, if your leader card is green, play this card in rest mode. If this was that, this would fit in so much better because you'd play 3 of this hands down, and then you've got a play combo, and you've got another 18 you can loop around, so you've got 2 more, another name for the Android 18 kind of plays. So it's such a shame that they've kind of messed that by putting it as a Universe 7. Even if it was just Android or anything like that, this would have been so much better. But that's my little rant over. I don't actually main the Kawaii in this deck just because of space, and it's more about the Android pures. but you can easily put this in if you want to. Moving on to the Android 17s, the brand new card that we got in Tournament of Power, which is actually usable in this deck, and we play 4 of it, is Energy Guard Android 17. So this is a blocker, and at the end of your turn, switch this card to active mode. So it's a 2-drop, technically with the leader. It can go up to a 20k blocker that can attack for 20k and then restand. So there's no reason why you wouldn't pay 4 of this, and you can just see why it's a bit of a disappointment that this is generic. This doesn't need to say it restands if your leader is universe, whatever. So unless we start getting erratas on all of the previous leaders, that they all now become like universe 7s or stuff like that, in my personal opinion, it's a shame and a missed opportunity on the Android 18, but we go with it and we move along. Continuing on Android 17s, you play 3 Chilean Terror Android 17. The reason we play 3 is A, it's searchable, B, once it's done its job, so if you don't know what the effect is if your leader card is an Android, the opponent cannot draw cards when their leader activates his Awaken skill. Now, there's 2 reasons we play it at 3, or a couple of reasons we play it at 3. Number 1, once it's done its job, it's no longer any use to you in the deck. You don't want it in the deck. I'd rather play more of the other ones that are going to be more effective to me, attack-wise and defensive-wise. On top of that, some of the new leaders don't actually draw cards when they awaken. So this is an easy side out. The only reason you do this is if the leader wants to draw. If you can easily side these out for the combos if you want to, anything like that. But they're definitely a must-have in the deck, unless you know you're not going to face any leaders that are going to draw. And then we've got 2 Dreadful Duo Android 17. This is, like, in my personal opinion, out of the rest, the weakest one, which is only played at 2. And then we've got 2 Twin Brother Android 17. Again, you don't need as many targets for Android 17 because it is the first kind of absorption and it doesn't let you loop. But this card, basically, when this card attacks, you may place a card from your hand into the drop area. If you do so, choose an Android 18 and stand it. So, again, very powerful. We've then got 3 Terrible Creator Android 20. Because we've got enough of the Androids, it's not as... Most of our Androids are drop 2, so I'd rather use my drop 2 energy on my Androids than on my Terrible Creator, unless I have to search the 18. But then we've got a bit more consistency with the 4 drop 1 Dr. Gero Evil Inventor. Very, very nice that after set 3 we actually got a first turn play with Androids and Cell, other than Cell's Birth, which is kind of meh. So very, very important on this one. The consistency, like 9 times out of 10, if you whiff on this, there's something wrong, but 9 times out of 10 you should always get something. And then for our extras, we've got 4 Creator Android, draw 2, ditch 1, so less effective in this deck compared to Android 13, but still very, very useful. And there is something that I have missed out in this deck as well, and that is Android Mirror, because it's searchable, it rips another one from your opponent's hand, and it's an Android, sorry. So it's an Android, it rips from your opponent's hand, and you can fill up your graveyard quite easily. So that, again, can easily be a side-in at 3 instead of speedy surprise attack. It's really dependent on what you want to go. It comes down to personal preference on this, but definitely play that Mirror. I've missed it out. I do apologise for that. So you definitely want to play him at 3. I'll quickly grab him so you know which one it is. So for that, you'd probably take out a couple of the Android 17s if you wanted to, or just kind of any mixture. I wouldn't mess around with the Android 18s. There you go. So it's the Relentless Destruction Mirror. Definitely play this at 2, if not 3. Just because he's, you know, you easily flood up your graveyard, and then he's an Android who's searchable off of Gero, which is very, very useful to get him when you need him. But that is it for the deck profile. Like I said, it's an interesting deck because technically you're playing this many, like... Let's get these out of the way. These are technically all 2-drops. So you've got a heck of a lot of 2-drops in your deck that can then all go up to 20k beaters later in the game. So Androids are actually very, very powerful, and I really, really enjoy playing them. So it's definitely something I would say to look out for and give a go yourself. The leader themselves aren't too expensive, and it's more the Cell engine that's that's kind of costly. But then if you don't want to play the Cell engine, that's straight away 11 cards you can take out. So that's 3 mirrors. That's 4 Kawaii Kai Masters, and then you can put more. You don't have to worry about the Android 18 and 17 ratio because you don't worry about them being absorbed by Cell. Cell is the power play, it is the money play, but you know it's entirely down to you if you want to go full pure or not. Anyway, that is it for the deck. I hope this has helped. I hope this has given you a couple of ideas of building around it. Like I said, there are a couple of alternatives like the Mirror, the Kawaii Master. and then how you play your super combos. So feel free to do whatever you want. This is your deck. It's entirely open to you, and play it as you want. This is just a structure for you to play around with. But for now, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and as always, guys, happy battling.